Welcome to Random but Memorable, a podcast from 1Password. I'm Matt Davey, 1Password's Chief Experience Officer.
I'm Sarah, one of the founders at 1Password.
I'm Rue, Head of Password Manager Development.
I'm Anna, the producer behind the show.
And we're the hosts behind Random but Memorable. Together, we offer up bi-weekly security advice, interview special guests from the cybersecurity community, and round up the latest security news in Watchtower Weekly. Plus, we may play a silly security game or two. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Today we are bringing you a special bonus episode, which is the remainder of my chat with last week's guest, Adamaka Ajaelo. Adamaka is the executive director and founder of Self-eSTEM, a nonprofit that supports BIPOC women and girls at every stage of the STEM pipeline to ensure that they learn about STEM, stay in the field, and have thriving careers. I had such a great time sitting down with her to learn more about how we can support diversity and champion inclusivity in the cybersecurity industry. And it was so long that Anna had to do all kinds of magic and making sure it fit into the regular show. Since there was so much, we thought it would be a great idea to turn it into a bonus episode. So here's some extras from my conversation with Adamaka, where we discuss our personal experiences of being women in STEM careers and the things we've learned along the way, founder to founder. So thanks again for tuning in, and please enjoy.
I did some research on you, Sarah, and about, co-founding the organization. But I would just would love to learn about your journey. I am just so interested in women who do this because I know that, in the VC space, it's challenging. And then if you think about BIPOC women, the funnel gets narrow. But I would love to just learn about your journey in getting the company started.
It's interesting, actually, because I was trying to not derail all of the conversation altogether. But that's really when you were talking about the project and the need specific stuff, that's what 1Password was. Originally it was Dave, my husband, and Rustam had gotten together and we're going to build websites. And then they needed to have a tool to save all the passwords and save the wrong password so they could test all the stuff. And my job was okay, but we have to pay taxes. I get it. So taxes, contracts, marketing, legal, anything that wasn't the direct coding, which includes I don't know why you put the button there. The button just doesn't work there. Can we move the button? How hard can it be? Mm-hmm. And so that was how I kicked off what we did. But 1Password itself was just supposed to be a 3-week side project. It was just a quick little password manager. We were just building it so we could get back to building websites and doing that kind of stuff. And then we put it out there and people were like, hey, this solves a problem that we need. It was literally a tool to solve a problem that we had. And then it was just okay, people say we could make it better. Well, we could make it better. I like a better tool. Better tools would be fun. And we get to build something that we've already built. And so that was how we started all of this. And so for me, the customer experience side of it is just really the big part of it. It's our community. It's listening to that feedback and how do we make a better product. And so that's what I've been doing. And we have these weird moments now where I'm but wait, we started selling, it's actually June the 18th, 1Password will have been on sale for 18 years. And it's I don't even know how that's possible. It was just supposed to be a 3-week side project. It's not quite been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, we've just been so fortunate. I think part of it is our Canadian side of us where we're super, we're just chill. We're here for a good time. I see sometimes there's this weird competitive need out there and sometimes you just got to do your thing. So we've just been very, very casual about what we do, but also very committed to the security and making sure we're trying to do that knowledge leader piece and encouraging good habits and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been a very wild journey. I think for me as a female, the other side of it that's been wild is Dave, my partner, he is super supportive and he thinks that whatever I'm going to do is going to be great. And I didn't grow up thinking that my ideas were super great or super awesome. And I certainly didn't have the support where it was yes, you should keep doing that. So for him to be yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you just go and do that?
Right.
Okay, well, I hope it's going to work. And he's of course it's going to work. And so having men support in that field has been really great for me. But I've always been able to work with really great guys. I remember in our first round of VC funding going into a room and it was all these white guys in suits and they were brought in from an external auditing agency and they were coming in to ask all these auditing questions and it was okay, and there's no chairs. So I'm oh, whatever, I'll just grab a chair over here. And they'd ask questions and then all the guys in the room were Sarah, what's the answer? I work with a group of folks that were let's defer. It wasn't deferring to me as a female, but it was being, you're the knowledge expert here. Like, I'm not even going to try to answer this question. Like, you're right here. You go ahead and take that seat at the table, and making sure I had that opportunity to have the voice, which was unusual for me. I'm very much a different human than I was 18 years ago because I wasn't used to having a voice at the table. And now I'm like, well, I guess I've got a voice. I might as well use it. And I think that's a hard part, I think, for some people to kind of get to in their careers.
Oh, thank you. No, that's an awesome story.
But I would love to hear more about yourself, and I'd love to know a little bit more about what was the driving force for you and creating Self-eSTEM and why this is so important to you.
The motivation to create Self-eSTEM really stemmed from a combination of my own personal experience and then just industry observation as I started to navigate throughout the STEM talent pipeline. Growing up for me, my father was my support system and foundation in STEM. He was a chemical engineer, and he would teach my siblings and I math and physics problems at an early age. In elementary school, I tell people I was solving physics equations. However, what really sparked me to say, hey, I need to reach back and do something was when I was in college. I actually had a college professor try to fail me because in his eyes, I didn't fit the image of the top student in the linear algebra class. And so I just really saw the lack of representation and support for someone like me in the STEM field in college. And then as I transitioned from college into my career, this gap was glaringly evident in my professional journey. So I realized that I needed to create a platform. I needed to create something, some institution that can really empower and support BIPOC girls and women to pursue and excel in STEM careers, really focused on breaking down barriers along the way. And so that was just my motivation, just to reach back and create this platform called Self-eSTEM. And one of the things that we're really trying to do is to really provide that support at all of the critical stages of the pipeline. It is not just enough just to get the young girls into the pipeline. With our organization, we want to focus on sustainability, meaning that we want them to stay and remain and thrive throughout their career journey.
That's really the key. It's not just about getting in the front door. It's about getting in, figuring out how to navigate your way through the business and how to establish yourself as hopefully a thought leader who can help promote other folks within the organization and then work your way up to those leadership positions. Because I think that's certainly something that we're hopefully going to see some more diversity around the executive levels and trying to get more representation at all levels throughout the company instead of just when you get in the front door.
Yeah.
I have to ask, though, did you pass that math class as the top of the class?
I did pass the math class, but I will say, honestly, I did not agree with my final grade. I had to go to the administration just to really advocate. And that's another component that we teach our young innovators is how do you advocate for yourself? Because going through this journey, you will face some obstacles, but that doesn't mean that that is the signal for you to give up. It's just really a signal for you to figure out, how do I adapt to this? How do I push through? How do I persevere? How do I show that resiliency and really carry myself to the next stage of my journey?
I think that's a truly important thing. And I think the challenges that sometimes you hit against where, yes, you're hearing the word no, but no doesn't mean no. No means you've got to try it a different way and trying to figure out how do I learn to lean in on that and what can I change and how can I successfully navigate the waters here? Because again, sometimes it's just, yay, first time doing something and being worried about whether or not you're doing it right. I know sometimes for myself as a woman, I often feel like I don't want to be the one who always seems, naggy or whining or complaining and, the very stereotypical assumptions of, is this just me being a female? But it's, how do I learn to advocate for myself in a way that's just strong and confident, which is not always the first nature for a lot of folks.
Yeah. For me, it took me a while to really find my voice. And it was just me really just continuing with this growth mindset or this engineering mindset, having like a problem and just saying, hey, I may not get it right on the first pass, but if I continue to hack at it, that I'm going to see and yield results. And that's something that we really embed in the core and like DNA of our programs with our young innovators.
That's so phenomenal.
I did have another question, if you don't mind. Just as you were scaling your company, like what was the key challenges and what would you share as like a key lesson learned and like anything that you can share, any nuggets that this is what you should keep in your forefront?
The one thing I would say now that I wish I had known then that's just more and more relevant is the metrics, stats. How many people came through the front door? How many people have gone out the front door? How many people are turning around and doing successful things? Being able to have that social proof is really a hard thing to measure. I'm a big fan of hugs and good vibes, and I believe that our product has been so successful because of the positive reputation we have in the community and because of the thing we have there. As we've gotten bigger, okay, yeah, you said you're great. Where's the numbers to prove it? Show me what that means on your metrics and how's your lagging ARR numbers. And it's like, I didn't put any tracking or metrics into any of this stuff. I just said it was good and people said okay, and I never thought to go back and calculate it. So I think that was always something that I think in going forward is just being able to demonstrate that success and be able to quantify it. I think especially when it's something so impactful and it's built around feelings and thoughts. And it reminds me of that story about the kid on the beach rescuing, is it a starfish? And he's throwing them back. And the one guy's like, well, why are you even doing this? Like, tide's high. They're not all going to survive. You don't have the kind of thing. And it's like, I made a difference to that one. You're trying to make a difference to one person at a time, but being able to get an idea of the scope of like how many starfish on the beach are there? If we had 17 people here throwing them back, what kind of impact could we make to the starfish population? That kind of stuff really helps in the long run. Numbers is really a big thing. And then the other part of it is just being confident in what you're doing and knowing that some days are going to be good days and some days are going to be the not awesome days. And I think the feedback is the hardest part for me, because I know for me, the 1,000 good words, it's that one negative comment that you're going to keep reading. So as someone who's trying to build something, try very hard to take that one negative comment, lock it in a box and put it away and focus on the good stuff. And again, if you've got 1,000 and you've got one bad one, that is less than 1% of the comments. And I know for me, that's always been something where it's like, okay, I've got these 5 people, they're really upset and I want to make these 5 people happy. And it's like, okay, but you've got 100,000 people that are happy and you could make them more happy. Don't focus on the 5. And I think that's trying to keep that perspective piece is really hard when you're building something, because you just want everyone to really love what you're doing.
Right. I'm so glad that you said that. I wanted to laugh, not like it was funny, but to laugh at myself and not take myself so seriously, because I needed that message. Because growing up in a Nigerian household, you always have this pressure to be like the best. You're not competing with anybody to the left or the right, but you just have to, whatever you're doing, you have to be the best at it. And then some days I'm like, what am I doing? But just you sharing that, like, hey, being open to the feedback, as your leader, it's going to be challenging. It's not going to always be positive. But if you really just have confidence and you believe in what you're doing, it will carry you through. So I thank you and I appreciate you for sharing those nuggets. I was just taking some notes and just reminding myself, keep that in your forefront. Even when everything is going on, keep that in your forefront.
Oh, definitely. And that's the assume good intent. Hope that when someone gives you that crappy feedback, it's not just because they want to be mean about it and they want to rip you down. Assume that they're trying to come at it from a positive way, and assume that they're saying that because they want you to do what you're doing better and they want what you're doing to succeed. Yeah. And I remind myself of that actively when I'm reading feedback, and I'm like, assume positive intent. And it is so hard sometimes. The other side of it is I think what I'm doing is pretty awesome. And so I've got enough people around me that agree, and I'm going to just focus on being awesome. And I think this initiative is really great. I think giving people that opportunity to see what's out in the world and really just harness that creativity and be practical with like what it can be. I think you see those career fairs and it's like, you too can be a whatever. And it's like the path from that to that is so far away, and being able to say it's a journey and showing that career path and like what all of those little steps look like. It's like climbing a mountain. When you get to the top of the mountain, all of a sudden it's great. You can't just go from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. It's a journey. And so make sure you're stopping to enjoy the view, because there's a lot of really good views as you try to get to the top of the mountain. Yeah. And watch out for rock slides.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely do that. I've heard that one. Enjoy the view and enjoy the process. Because, sometimes you can just kind of focus too much on the outcome. I want to hit my target, but enjoy the view and enjoy the process.
Yeah, I think that's the trick, is to say we're establishing baselines. When everyone talks metrics and all that, it's not about the outcome. It's about establishing baselines. It's about reestablishing baselines. Yeah. Because, sometimes the outcome isn't what you hope for, but it's because you need a new baseline.
Yes, reestablishing. I like that one. I'm a metrics person too, but sometimes when you're close to it, you don't see it. And that was one of the things I was like, I need to take a step back. And I need to recalibrate, like, how do we measure success? What are our frameworks? And, like, I want to develop, like, a program impact scorecard, but I need to think about, like, what does success look like? And I know now doing this, I'm going to have to reestablish some of the baselines. I'm not going to have like, oh, this was going up. This is just a metric. This is where we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, right? It's all experimenting. It's all trying to figure out how you go and as it goes together.
Awesome.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the program? Like, how many youth are you working with on an average? Like, what's the size and scope of all of the work that you guys are doing right now?
Yes. So right now we have our early STEM immersion program, and that's for young girls aged 7 to 17. We're working on building, and it's in development, what we call an emerging leaders program. And that's the next critical age of 18 to 25-year-olds to really focus on building their career identities and providing job opportunities. But right now for our early STEM immersion program, it is a 12-month journey in which our innovators get foundational knowledge and practical skills in the STEM field. We have one component that I mentioned is our digital and generative AI bootcamp. And that is where the innovators are getting an introduction to cybersecurity through online safety. We're building up their digital skill sets on how to use cloud-based productivity tools. But all of this stuff is infused with this project-based activity where they become inspiring entrepreneurs, and they have to brainstorm and create a product and solution for something that is a challenge within their communities. Then that's in the spring. And then fast forward to the summertime, we have our intensive 1-week STEM exploration camp. And this is just really about sparking a STEM curiosity. As you can imagine, just being in the summertime, students want to be out playing. So what we do is we really infuse STEM learning in a fun and interactive way. We take them on field trips, or I like to say business trips, to connect and visit local tech and STEM companies here in the Bay Area. And then in the fall, it's our robotics competition team. So with the robotics team, we're really focusing on building their computer programming skills and their engineering skills, but really having them to have a fun and exciting way to be collaborative and compete, to engage with robotic competitions and challenges with their peers. So early STEM immersion program, and it's not necessarily just saying, hey, specifically, we want you to be a coder or a software engineer, but it's really to build that skill set of how do I see the world? How do I improve and see myself? And how do I take those skill sets to ensure that I have a healthy and thriving future and career as they exit and continue on their journey?
That's amazing. I'm busy thinking about, how much fun that summer camp would be and just nurturing the curiosity. I think what you were talking about with the projects and like, let's solve a problem in your neighborhood. Let's solve a problem that you're currently experiencing. I think there's just something so tangible towards when you think about, okay, I'm going to look at all these different problem sets and all these different things, and it just feels so theoretical. But when you put something that's live and like, I'm going to solve something that you need to figure out today, and giving people the power to be able to create something to fix a problem that they have, that's where that curiosity and that passion comes from. And I know that's, as someone who gets to go and I talk to some youth now, and you get to go out and see the different things people are working on. It's amazing when you see that curiosity come to life and just really be able to push, and think of things that you haven't thought of, because it's not necessarily about trying to design a project for something theoretical. It's like, this is a real world issue I have. How do I fix it?
Exactly. And we find that when you can make that connection, and I like to say tapping into their funds of knowledge in their interest area, it really accelerates the learning process. We just sit back and let them do the rest.
I love it. Making it fun, and then understanding that not only is it fun, but tying that whole complete picture together where it's, you can have fun, you can be curious, you can solve a problem in your neighborhood, and you can then turn around and turn this into a career and make this something that you can be successful at for your entire life, and you can contribute back to your community by doing these things. I think it's an amazing initiative that you've put together with tons of success heading your way. I love it.
Thank you.
So there was my chat with Adamaka. Thank you, Adamaka, for taking the time to meet with me and chat. It was a really great conversation, and I know I was able to take something from it, and I hope all of you listening were too. We will be taking a short break now in our Random But Memorable season to plan out things for our next season, and we'll be back on July the 23rd. So please continue to stay subscribed to be notified when the next episode drops. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for listening and for your continued support for the show. If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Leaving these reviews really helps the show and helps new folks discover what we offer here at Random But Memorable. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see all of you again very soon.